When it comes to debate, there's an old poem I heard at church one time that has long stood with me. It's called Good Timber by Douglas Malloch. And it says, "The tree that never had to fight for sun and sky and air and light, but stood out on an open plain and always got its share of rain, never became a forest king, but lived and died a scrubby thing. The man who never had to toil to gain and farm his patch of soil, who never had to win his share of sun and sky and light and air, never became a manly man, but lived and died as he began. Good timber does not grow with these. The stronger wind, the stronger trees. The further sky, the greater length. The more the storm, the more the strength. By sun and cold, by rain and snow, in trees and men, good timbers grow. Where thickest lies the forest growth, we find the patriarchs of both, and they hold counsel with the stars, whose broken branches show the scars of many winds and much strife. This is the common law of life." This has stood true with me. Back when I was a globe earther, I was a scrubby thing. I never challenged any of my globe beliefs. And then when Flat Earth came along, it was like a big gust of wind that just knocked me right over. Since then, I've become a flat earther. And every day, I've been growing anew. This time, with the globe earthers continually acting as my gust of wind, helping me develop deep roots and a firm foundation. You want to know why I bother with all these debates and spend all this time on all these trolls? That is why. And the fact is, if it weren't for all these trolls continually challenging me, I wouldn't have half of over all of my videos, since most of them were made in direct response to mostly Malcolm over here. I sincerely don't think I ever would have started my YouTube channel were it not for him. So with that being said, here is an update on our ongoing debate. My debate with Malcolm continues on with the same simple topic as before.
I've never heard a debate ask the question, if the atmosphere is opaque, how do we see through it? Well, it's the same thing as what we see going on here in the ocean. We can see through it a little ways, but the further and further you look, the more and more opaque the water becomes. Another common example I like to use is heat protectors. I can see through one just fine, but as I stack more and more on top of each other, the more and more opaque they become. In this instance, one sheet protector represents a certain amount of distance in the atmosphere. This is why we can't just pull out a telescope and see Europe from America.
To that simple statement, Malcolm came back and formed a new argument against it.
You said, opacity is one reason why we can't pull out a telescope and see Europe from America. This is negated by the observation of mountains at 30 miles, there is no opacity between the observer and the mountains.
Okay, you said there is no opacity between the observer and the mountains. If that were the case, all of the shadows would have to be the same brightness. But here we see the shadows are darker in the foreground, up closer to you, and they gradually become lighter in the background with distance. This effect happens because of atmospheric opacity. Here's a more dramatic example of the same thing taking place. Please take notice of how the mountains gradually turn more and more to the same color as the sky. This is a principle I was taught to observe in painting landscapes.
There is no opacity between the observer and the mountains. It's all about definitions that we disagree on here.
Really? Pray tell, if you define things differently, how do you define atmospheric opacity?
The point is that no atmospheric conditions have made the mountains appear closer or more distant. They always appear the same height and distance. They don't get higher or lower based on the weather.
Height of the mountains? What are you even talking about? Where is that coming from? It's reading rando. Maybe you got the words atmospheric opacity and atmospheric refraction mixed up. I'm just talking about the atmosphere's ability to block your view here.
According to you, atmospheric opacity causes us not to be able to see distant objects.
Yes, that is correct.
If that were the case, things would look closer with less opacity. That doesn't happen.
Wow. Really? By all means, please substantiate your claim. Here's a man with some atmospheric opacity in front of him. If I take that away... Oh my! Look! He looks the exact same distance away! Okay, jumping threads now. Going back to the sheep protectors and down to someone's random comment.
With a clear atmosphere, the mountains and clouds get lower and lower until they disappear below the horizon.
Again, I don't think me rising in elevation will ever cause those mountains to sink below the horizon.
Of course not. Rising in elevation causes more mountains to appear, not disappear. Lowering elevation causes the horizon to get closer because the Earth is not flat.
You have yet to prove that the Earth is not flat. That's also kind of a shift in topic away from the atmosphere's ability to block your view. Nonetheless, I have proof that refraction in a density gradient can cause things on the horizon to appear to sink due to refraction as you drop in elevation. But again, that is a different topic, and this thread is supposed to be about atmospheric opacity and the sheep protector principle. Now, previously I pointed out how the haze in this picture appears high above the horizon line. That observation is far more on topic here.
There is no observable haze between the observer and the most distant clouds. The only explanation for this photo is the curvature of the Earth.
Concerning your claim as to a lack of opacity here, again, just take a look at the brightness of the shadows here. Do you see them getting lighter and lighter here? That is because of opacity. Now Malcolm, do you acknowledge the gradient here from dark blue to light blue?
That observation does not support a flat Earth. The only explanation for that is the curvature of the Earth.
Okay, I see you've chosen not to answer my question. Density towers like this one are not dependent upon any kind of ball beneath them. This is by no means impossible over a flat surface. Previously you said you agreed that atmospheric opacity exists. So why are you still fighting against this whole concept? Do you retract your previous agreement? Or did you seriously just mix up atmospheric opacity and atmospheric refraction? If anyone would like to jump in on this conversation, please feel free to come check out our public debate board. This debate is an ongoing thing. Thank you all for watching. This represents a Facebook debate. Someone begins by making an opening statement, and then someone comes along and disagrees with that statement for reasons A, B, and C. To which the original poster comes back and says, well, I disagree with your reason A because of reasons 1, 2, and 3. I disagree with B because of 4, 5, and 6, and I disagree with C because of 7, 8, and 9. And if the opponent comes back and tries to address all of that, things tend to get really messy really fast, especially when there's multiple opponents involved and they're all bringing their own arguments to the table. But at least in Facebook that gets written down. If you try to cover all of that in an in-person conversation, most of that is just going to fall right through the cracks. Our debate board format fixes all of that. It makes it so nothing falls through the cracks, and it can accommodate for as many participants as you can imagine. It's all powered by Miro. It's totally free and web-based, no installation required. I just recommend using it on some kind of desktop computer. It requires a bit of processing power, it's pretty big. But it makes all the difference in the world. There's a link in this video's description.